Welcome to Guardianly's Real Scam Stories. Today, we're diving into a story that starts with something many of us dream of, a perfect job offer on LinkedIn. But this dream quickly turns into an absolute nightmare, and it's a cautionary tale for all of us.
Just imagine that feeling. That's how 26-year-old Amisha Datta described the exact moment the floor dropped out from under her. It's that gut-wrenching roller coaster of emotions, and her story is a powerful lesson in just how slick and convincing modern job scams have become.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm too careful. I'd never fall for something like that. Well, I want you to meet Amisha, because if there was ever a perfect candidate to spot a scam, you'd think it was her. So, let's talk about who we're dealing with here. Back in 2023, Amisha was living in Detroit. She'd graduated at the very top of her class with a perfect 4.0 GPA. I mean, this is someone who is incredibly sharp, super diligent, and just looking for some part-time remote work. She is absolutely the kind of person who does their homework.
So the big question is, how does someone so smart and so careful get tangled up in such an elaborate trap? Well, let's peel back the layers on this thing because the way these scammers operated was nothing short of meticulous.
It all started on a site that millions of us use every single day, LinkedIn. Amisha spots a job ad for a transcriptionist, and it's with a real company, a contractor for an Oklahoma school district. You know, it seemed like what she called a very wholesome place to work. Totally legit.
And this part is so important. Amisha did everything right. She didn't just fire off her resume and hope for the best. No, she verified their official website. She looked them up on Google Maps to see their office. She even read positive reviews for the company on both Glassdoor and Indeed. She ticked every single box.
Okay, so she applies and she gets an email back, and this is where the deception gets almost invisible. Take a look at this. The real domain name ends in .coop. The scammer's email, it used a hyphen, 5-*. It's a tiny, tiny detail. And get this, she actually noticed it, but she figured, maybe it's just an Oklahoma thing. It's those tiny little details that we dismiss where these cons really thrive.
From that point on, everything just felt more and more official. They sent her interview questions over email. A formal job offer came next. Then, a professional-looking employment contract. So professional that our own mom looked it over and gave it the all-clear. And here's the kicker. They had her verify her identity using ID.me, which is a totally real and trusted service. Every single step was designed to make her feel secure.
So they've built this massive foundation of trust, right? Everything seems perfect. And now they're ready to spring the trap. This is where it all starts to fall apart, and it happens fast.
They sent her a check for $4,300. Now, this wasn't for her salary. It was for something else. And that number is pretty clever. It's a lot of money, for sure, but maybe not so huge that it would immediately set off alarm bells at the bank.
And here it is. This is the heart of the con. The instructions were very clear. Deposit this check and then immediately use the money to buy a specific laptop and software from their special designated vendor. Of course, that vendor was just them.
And look how quickly this goes down. Day one, she deposits the check. The money shows up in her account almost right away. See, banks have to make funds available quickly, but that doesn't mean the check is actually cleared. So thinking everything is fine, she wires the full amount the very next day. A few days go by, no laptop. Then, a week later, the hammer drops. The bank calls. The check was a fake, they're taking the money back, and now Amisha is $4,300 in debt to her own bank.
The financial hit was a total gut punch, but the nightmare was far from over. See, the scammers didn't just steal her money, they stole her identity too.
This is where the scam went from bad to truly devastating. Months later, she gets a notice from the IRS. Remember that legit ID.me verification she did? Well, the scammers took all that personal information she provided and used it to file fake tax returns in her name. They were doubling down, trying to steal even more. When Amisha finally got in touch with the real five-star company, they told her something that made her stomach sink even further. She wasn't the first person to call about this. She wasn't even the 10th. It was a huge, coordinated scam hitting people all over the country.
Amisha's story is frankly terrifying, but it's also a really important lesson for all of us. So let's talk about what we can learn from her experience and how you can stay safe out there.
But first, I have to share this quick and honestly pretty inspiring update on Amisha. She decided she wasn't just going to be a victim. This whole horrible ordeal actually became the catalyst for her to enroll in law school at Texas A&M. She's turning this trauma into a new purpose, to help fight for others. Okay, so what are the red flags here? Number one, and this is the big one, a legitimate company will never send you a check and ask you to buy your own equipment from their special vendor. That's a classic scam. Watch out for any pressure to act fast, especially with wire transfers. Double, no, triple check those email domains. And think about what was missing. A real conversation. They never spoke to her on the phone or on a video call. And above all, if an offer feels too good to be true, it probably is.
So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Scammers are now using the very tools we're taught to trust, LinkedIn, professional contracts, even ID verification services, as weapons against us. Amisha's story proves that being vigilant isn't just about spotting the obvious fakes anymore. It's about questioning every single detail, even when it looks perfectly real.